Daisy chains and sweet champagne, and 2 days alone with you. Not too far from the city by car, or maybe we can make a more romantic trip by train to the country. It's where I want to be with you for the week.
Oh my goodness. I think I'm taking my 4th shower for the day in my own sweat. It is humid out here. Today is Thursday the 10th. And there's been more distractions. That's why I'm not getting on this as fast as I'd love to. But I'm going to put a hard work on it for the next 3 days. I promised the world and Dawn that I would try and get as much done as I could for hers. Because, well, life is very interesting now. Let's just put it that way. T and I have had some good things happen here on the homestead, and we're navigating some improvements that just literally came out of nowhere, which are good. But we'll save that for another video. Today we're on, what was it, 10, I think.
Yeah.
It'll be part 10.
June 10th, part 10.
June 10th, part 10 of the How to Build an Apple Press video. Thank you for joining me here on Heritage Homestead Creations, where we're going to create some wonderful things. Last time I left you, I told you that I would be working on getting these all screwed up in a good way. Got the one screw in there. Where is it? So you can see when that turns on there, and if I can do this right, you can also see the spiraling in of the screws. As that string wrapped around it, it all came in. And there's a slight variation. When I rounded these out, I wasn't exactly perfect in the diameter. This one's slightly bigger, so that changed the I guess the angle of attack on the screws. But the thing is, there is a screw head right next to each screw head all the way down. So as this thing turns, this one's just a hair over, this one's a hair over, this one's a hair over, and they all work in. So there's 60 screws in here that literally cover the full length, and they're set up so that they can chew. I mean, it's kind of mesmerizing to watch it when it happens. So we've gotten all 3 of these done for all 3 units. There is one screw that I have not put in, and that's on the outside hole that would cut past the edge, and that's to keep stuff from getting jammed up in between the wall and the scratter. I'll put those in when I go to install it. But we're ready to start on the scratter boxes, and that's where we're at now. I've got the side panels for each scratter box set here and ready to go. There is some slight variations in them because of the way I cut them, and my next step is to true that up. So what I want to do is, for making sure that I got good square edges and parallel and everything's you know, same on both sides, I'm going to literally screw these boards together and then run them through the table saw together as a unit. Then I got to get my miter saw wherever it's tucked away back here, and then clean up these edges, because if you can see when I cut these, they're not exactly lined up, and I need those to be in good shape. So my next step is going to be getting the sides of these boxes true to each other. That will also let me get ready to set up for designing the box around the scratter. So this will actually go in between the 2 sides. I'll have to position it up against what will become the grinding wall, the wall where all the apples come in and get ground up at. And then we'll have a chute wall that goes on the inside, and then we're going to have our outside walls. But before I put any of that together and position everything, I need these sides to be the same for each set. And there's going to be slight variations between each one because, well, you know, I build to fit what it is. It's not like everyone's going to be a perfect. I'm not set up for that, and it's just frankly too sweaty out here. I'm already dripping sweat off my nose and stuff. It's humid.
Very.
Very humid. So that's my next step. I'm going to go ahead and get that done. Get these screwed together as a unit. I'll get them all cleaned up, trimmed up, and ready to start adding the sides to them, and I'll catch you back with that in a blink of an eye. And see, just a few seconds, we're right back. However, lots happen in a few seconds that you don't get to see, even boo-boos. I tell you that the sweat that's pouring off of both me and T is just ridiculous. It's so humid out here. But anyway, being it's been a while since I've built my apple presses, you know, I'm not back up to speed on my steps of what comes where first, and I got a little excited. So I went ahead and run them through all on the table saw, and I found, of course, you can see my miter saw there, and I got all these edges squared up and trimmed up. And I even got excited, and you can see how I screwed the two together on my scrap piece that will go away, and I should not have done that yet. And you know, you get a little bit ahead of yourself. So the reason being is what I need to do is in the scratter box, or the hopper portion and all that, I've got to get these two boards positioned in here so I will cut two boards that are about an inch taller than this to give me my little clearance in here. And then I got to position this, and then I got to mark where this goes. And then when I get my mark here, I'm going to have to drill and position my bearing on here so they will get screwed in on the outside. So I'll have to get this aligned, and I want these screw heads about 1/8 of an inch to 3/16 of an inch off of this line here. So there will be a board, and I don't have a scrap. I have a scrap. We'll use this for an example. So this will be the plate that will get screwed on the bottom of this edge here. Okay, so I need it to be aligned about right there, but not touching. And then I need these little doodads, because I'm going to run some of these in here, and I'll do a little pattern of these right here in the middle up against here, leaving enough clearance so that these screws don't hit these screws in the wood. So there's going to be, I mean, just a tiny hair's clearance. That way very little will get, so no big chunks go through the grinder. So it really gets scratted up. It's a scratter box, so that's what we want to do. But I need to get this bearing aligned, which means I need this on here and align the hole there, and then I need to drill a hole through both sides at once, and this kind of helps me hold it together until I got all three of these holes, the two bolt holes and the through hole for that. So, God, I'm just dripping with sweat. It is hot out. Well, it's hot, but it's very humid. As T kind of wipes the sweat out of her eyes.
Yep.
Yeah, it's dripping
Burns.
down. All right, so a little heat cooked here, but I'm moving on. That's our next step, as I need to go ahead and get these holes drilled now that I got all these squared and true to each other, so that when I put the boards on the back, the front, and the boards that are in the middle here that act as the guide for the hopper, and the lower chute on the underside, which you won't see very often, but it's something that you got to pay attention to. All of that's got to get done here. Let me get that, get some holes drilled, and I will wilt back to you in a minute. Alright, zoom in here, baby. And you can see I've got the holes drilled, marked and drilled for our flange bearings. Flange bearing. Woo! And we're good to go. So that one's sitting right there. And these, little bits of tape kind of fixed my issue of getting it lined up and not cutting this off. So now I got to cut off the rest of these. And we're loony out here in this heat. I'm gonna tell you what, we're crazy. All right, so and I'm not sure if you saw that, but you see the angle on the heads of those screws.
Oh yeah.
All right, so and there's something else I wanted to show you. I've got some extra long ones, and in the center right here, that one I told you about, actually goes straight all the way through, and it sits and it goes all the way through like that. So when I run it through, I'm going to drill a hole through the center of this, and this screw is actually going to go through the rod into through the rod in this. So this one will go through the rod, and that's what's going to hold it. And that, did you get that? Come over here. Let me show that again.
Did.
Focus in on this. All right, so this hole, once I run it all the way in, goes all the way through. When I run the rod through, I'll have a hole going all the way through it. So this acts as a bit of a shear pin, and it will do that. We haven't had one break or any issues, but I don't stress it out either. So literally, the strength of this stainless steel screw is what holds the scratter barrel up against all the apple grinding and the pulp right there. So lots of little bits of learned information and knowledge there. Now that I've got these drilled, they are what they are. The holes are there. It doesn't really matter. They don't have to be perfect in any one direction or the other. Oh God, it's hot out here.
Very.
All right, so now I need to cut these off. I already got the one. I got to cut the other two off. And then these panels are ready to go. And oh God, it's hot. I got to just. I hate this time of year. I love 4 seasons, but this season, the summer of heat, the season of heat and humidity.
This year is crazy.
Well, actually, it hasn't been this bad until this last week or two, where it's really started to crank up the heat. So we've got between now and the end of August of this crazy stuff. Hopefully we can get a cool front or two through here. Anyway, there we go. I got to get these done, get them sanded, cleaned up, probably polished. Then I probably won't polish them. I'm going to try and go ahead and get the start getting these sides screwed on, and the internal. Like I said, there's a little piece that goes on the inside here that keeps the acts as the funnel chute and the chute through. It helps move things the way it needs to up against the scratter grinder barrel and through the scratter box. Alright, so I'll be back in a bit. Alright, so now I'm working on the layout line. Let me show you what we got here. So I've got the barrel positioned over top of the holes pretty freaking close. And what I want to do is determine this line and this line, and I'm using a speed square to come in at a 45 like that. So what I'm creating is a hopper right here, and this hopper will feed the apples down. Okay, and then the apples will fall down and get chewed up pretty good right here. So what I need is this thing to sit just open enough for that apple to get in here and get to chewing it up. So I need a support that's taking me right to the corner here and down. Same thing here to the corner and down. There's a little bit of difference in I might have to shift this one down a little bit, but I think this one is perfect so that apple can sit right here and get ground up by these teeth as it gets pulled in through and to the thin spot, which is very little space right here. It's hard to see. I just got it sitting here right now. And so I've got them all marked out. Now the next step is to come in here and actually find a piece of wood that's 9.5. That's 9.5. And that's going to be 9. This one's a little bit smaller than these two, just by virtue of the size of the barrels and whatnot. So I've got to get these mid braces cut and screwed together and laid in place so that I could start spacing the top of them. I'm going to cut these at about 8 inches. I think I'm going to do, I think these are all pretty much, yeah, they're all this. I know there was a slight difference. It was maybe a 1/16 of an inch difference, but I want to make enough room. All right, so the stainless bolts that are, they're carriage bolts that are going to sit essentially down in there. And that little head is going to lock itself. Oops, let's turn it that way. It's going to lock its, when I screw that down, that little head, square head is going to open up or lock itself into that hole from both sides, from this side and that side, going through. So what I need is enough space so this grinder barrel has room right in here. See that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we need enough room in there, and I think because it is sitting where it is, I also need to make sure that there's clearance between the outer screw that will be there and this head so that the screw doesn't hit it as it's going by. So there's a lot to keep up with as far as spacing, location, tracking, energy, and flow. But that's where we're at, my friends. The whole idea is putting all this together multiple times. You see little issues and you go, okay, I'm going to fix that next time. And okay, this isn't quite, I see where this is going. Okay, I'm going to fix it this time. And that's how things get improved over the years. And we've done 6 of these. 7?
7.
7.
7 before
6, 7.
we come down here.
7 before. 8, 9, 10. So this will be these will be the next 3, 10. And who knows, maybe I'll improve that a little bit later as we go, and find other things to fix and make better. So, but this is where I'm at for the moment. Now it's time for me to cut boards to fit in here, so I'll be back with you when we get some of that done. And after 18.5 hours in a sauna, it's so hot out here. Both of us are draining and dribbling liquids like you wouldn't believe. But for a closeout on this particular video, because we had some, how should I say, unexpected company, which was a really good thing. Some local neighbors came over and were working on some barter trade stuff. Really good stuff. So that kept us busy for the last couple hours. We kind of had an intermediate. We now need to get to feeding our animals and doing the homestead stuff. You know how it works. Oh, goodness, it is horrible. But we have managed to get the interior. We got the interior divider boards put together. So come down and take a look on all 3 of these. You can now start to see how we got. You see with our line down here, we got our little boards here, and if you look on the back side over here, it creates a bit of a cavity back here, but there will be a boards that go across here. But coming around over on this side, you're going to see once we get this board here and this board here, we're going to create that chute that catches these apples in it, and then I'll be ready. So we've gotten that done. We got the boards drilled out. I mean, that's not as much as I'd like to have accomplished on this hot, sweltering summer day, but I think that's pretty good for this episode. I'm having an episode, and I'm done with it for today. So we'll catch you on the next go round.
She's crazy.
Crazy. I'm heat crazed. Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
All right, so on that note, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care. We'll check you soon.